I was folding laundry when my husband walked in and dropped the bomb like it was nothing. I've talked to a lawyer. I want a divorce. Her name is Karen Fields, and she'll be calling you later to explain the process. That was it. No explanation, no emotion, just business. I'd given this man 15 years of my life. I helped him build his small construction company from the ground up. I was the one handling the books when we couldn't afford a real accountant. I was the one staying up late to balance the invoices while he slept like a baby. And now, just like that, I was being dismissed like an employee. He didn't know I already suspected something. He didn't know I had access to more than he thought. And most importantly, he didn't know I wasn't going down without a plan. So yes, I did talk to his lawyer, and then I hired my own. And what came next? Let's just say, he should have never underestimated the woman who helped build his empire. I was folding laundry on a Thursday afternoon. The kids were still at school, and the house was come to calm. Maybe. I remember the exact shirt I was folding, his faded blue flannel he always wore when he worked outside. It smelled like grass and aftershave. Then the front door opened. My husband, Dean, stepped in like he owned the world, which, technically, he did, at least in his mind. He tossed his keys on the counter and casually leaned against the doorframe like he had something simple to say, like dinner smells good or I'm gonna mow the lawn. But what he actually said, I've talked to a lawyer. I want a divorce. Her name is Karen Fields. She'll be in touch with you tomorrow. That was it. I stood there, frozen, holding his damn flannel shirt in my hands like a joke. I looked at him and waited for the punchline, but there wasn't one. His face was blank. His tone was robotic, and I knew then he'd rehearsed this. Are you serious? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He didn't flinch. It's for the best. I don't think we should keep pretending anymore. Pretending. Was that what the last 15 years were to him? Pretend I didn't cry. Not right then. Instead, something in me switched. I folded the shirt, neatly pressed the corners down, and I said nothing, because something felt off. Dean had never been brave, not like this. He hated confrontation. He was passive-aggressive and cowardly when it came to emotional stuff. This was rehearsed, prepared, coached, and suddenly Karen Fields didn't sound like just a lawyer. It sounded like someone who knew too much about my husband, like someone he'd been talking to for a while, maybe even sleeping with. The lawyer called the next day, like clockwork. Karen Fields called. Hi Zoe, I'm Dean's attorney. I'd like to walk you through the dissolution paperwork. This will be amicable and efficient. Efficient. What a word. I let her talk, taking notes in silence. I didn't tell her I already had my own lawyer on speed dial. I didn't tell her I had access to every bank account Dean thought I didn't know about. I didn't even tell her that I'd found the Airbnb charges on our credit card months ago under a fake business name he made up. Instead, I thanked her, played nice, and promised to look over everything. That night, while Dean was showering, I checked his phone like I always did when something felt off. He was sloppy, always had been. And this time, jackpot. There were messages, long gushy ones, from Karen. Not Karen Fields, the lawyer. Karen Fields, the woman. And suddenly, everything made sense. She wasn't just representing him, she was with him, helping him plan everything from the inside out. They were trying to screw me over, financially, legally, emotionally. But I wasn't going down like that. I had receipts. Here's what Dean didn't know. While he'd been playing dirty, I'd been documenting everything, every unexplained transaction, every business expense he logged that didn't match his actual schedule, every dinner with clients that didn't exist. For years, I'd been his unofficial bookkeeper. I knew that company inside and out. I had full access to tax records, contractor payments, payroll discrepancies, things that could raise a lot of questions in front of the IRS, but I kept quiet, because I wasn't ready yet. Instead, I took copies of everything. I even created a little USB key labeled vacation photos that held backups of every suspicious transaction he ever made under the business name. I also called my lawyer Jennifer Alston. She was a beast, a real pit bull in heels. You're going to want to play dumb for now, she said. Let them make the first move. Then we hit back with everything. I smiled for the first time that week, pretending to break for the next few days. I pretended to be heartbroken. I cried into my cereal. I slept in the guest room. I let Dean think I was falling apart. And the more broken I looked, the more confident he got. Arrogant, even. He started coming home late, dressing nicer, whispering on the phone. He even brought Karen over one afternoon while I was out, but thanks to our Ring camera, I saw everything. They laughed in my kitchen. She drank from my mug. He kissed her like I never existed. And that was the last straw. Not because he kissed her, but because she sat at my table and laughed at me like she'd already won. The calm before the storm that weekend. Dean handed me the official divorce documents. If you sign by Monday, he said, we can make this painless. Painless for him, maybe. I took the papers, smiled, told him I'd think about it, and that night, I handed everything, every receipt, every copy, every digital file, to my lawyer. Let's give him exactly what he asked for, I said. A divorce? Dean thought he was the mastermind. What he didn't know was that I'd spent the last 3 months quietly preparing for something I couldn't even name at the time. I didn't know then that he was planning to leave me, but I knew something was coming. And when your gut tells you to start saving digital receipts and watching your bank accounts like a hawk, you listen. While he played games with his lawyer, girlfriend, I prepared the chessboard. My lawyer, the warrior Jennifer Alston, wasn't just good, she was terrifying. She specialized in high-asset divorces, especially ones involving hidden finances, shady business dealings, and narcissistic husbands. I've seen this pattern before, she told me. They always think they're 2 steps ahead, until they realize the quiet ones are watching everything. I gave her everything: emails, spreadsheets, tax returns, QuickBooks access, scanned checks, phone screenshots. I even gave her the burner phone Dean thought I didn't know about. She smiled like a cat with a canary. This is going to be fun, she said. Dean's hidden life wasn't so hidden. The more we dug, the uglier it got. He'd funneled company funds into fake expenses, Airbnbs, for client retreats that were really weekend getaways with Karen, restaurant bills logged as vendor meetings that were romantic dinners for 2. One time, he bought her a $4,000 bracelet and wrote it off as a corporate gift. And then there was the worst part. He'd set up a separate business account under a shell company, presumably to move assets so I couldn't touch them. But he made one crucial mistake. He listed his real name on one of the wire transfers. Rookie move. Jennifer's forensic accountant traced the money trail like a bloodhound. And within days, we had a complete map of Dean's betrayal. Not just emotional, but criminal. If we hand this over to the IRS, he's toast, Jennifer said. But let's give him a chance to hang himself first. The calm mask. Meanwhile, at home, I played my role like an Oscar-winning actress. I made coffee. I did laundry. I asked questions like, should I keep the dining table or would you want it? Just to make him think I was being mature about the split. Every time he smirked, every time he condescended with a pat on the back or a fake sympathetic tone, I bit my tongue, because I knew what was coming. He even started talking about selling the house quickly and how we should keep it out of court to protect the kids. I smiled, nodded, played dumb, and I waited the mediation trap. The first mediation session was held at Karen's law firm. She walked in wearing a pencil skirt and smugness. Dean sat beside her like a man who'd just won the lottery. We're offering Zoe 25% of the business assets, Karen said. And the house, if she agrees to sign the documents today. 20% of a company I helped build from zero. A company that technically only survived its first 3 years because I worked unpaid, managing invoices and doing client follow-ups while raising our twins. My hands clenched under the table, but my face stayed still. Jennifer cleared her throat. That's very generous, she said with a fake smile. But Zoe would like to counter. Karen raised her eyebrow. Oh, Jennifer opened a folder and slid over a packet. Here's a breakdown of your client's fraudulent activity over the past 2 years. Zoe's willing to go to court with this. We've already contacted an IRS liaison. Dean's face drained of color. Karen picked up the papers and started scanning through them. Her confidence faltered. She looked at Dean. He looked at me. I looked back, calm, silent, just like I had when he first told me about the divorce. Only this time, I had all the power. If we go to court, Jennifer said, Zoe gets half minimum, plus damages. Plus, the feds take a closer look at those tax filings you swore were clean. Dean opened his mouth, closed it, looked at Karen again. She wasn't smiling anymore. Backpedaling begins 3 days later. Dean called me. Hey, can we maybe meet for coffee? Just talk, without lawyers. I laughed. Actually laughed. You want it to be efficient and painless. Remember, let's keep it that way. Click, he texted after that, apologizing, saying he never wanted it to be this way, that maybe we could still work something out. I didn't respond. Then came Karen's email. Suddenly, they were open to negotiation. Suddenly, I was being offered 50% plus full custody of the kids, plus the house. If I would just sign a non-disclosure agreement. Nice try. Final offer. My terms. I told Jennifer I wanted more, not out of greed but out of justice. I wanted 60% of the business, assets, sole ownership of the house, full custody with supervised visits for Dean, all legal fees covered, no under. Jennifer delivered the terms with her signature venom. They agreed within 24 hours. He never saw it coming when the final paperwork was signed. Dean avoided eye contact. He looked like a man who'd walked into a ring, expecting a spar, and got a knockout. Punch instead. Karen didn't even show up. I walked out of that law office lighter than I'd felt in years. Not just because I was free, but because I had won, on my own terms, quietly, intelligently, completely. And you know what the best part was? A month later, the IRS opened an audit on Dean's company. Guess he forgot to correct all those shady write-offs in time. He tried to blame me, but by then, I was already out of state. New job, new house, new life. And, for the first time in 15 years, I finally slept through the night. It's funny how quiet the world feels when the storm finally passes. After everything, after the fake smiles, the lawyer games, the silent dinners, the courtroom drama, I found myself sitting on the porch of my new home, coffee in hand, just breathing. No more checking Dean's tone for passive aggression. No more calculating every word to avoid a fight. No more walking on eggshells in my own house. I was free. And he was unraveling. Dean's world collapsed slowly. Then, all at once, started with the IRS letter. Jennifer's team didn't need to file anything officially. We'd only mentioned we were preparing to contact the authorities, but apparently, one of the documents Karen had filed during the mediation triggered something in the system. Oops. Dean called me furious. I didn't pick up. He emailed, begged me to fix it or explain it was all a misunderstanding. I let Jennifer handle the response. Ms. Miller is no longer affiliated with your business. Any inquiries should be directed to your tax counsel. Translation: you're on your own, buddy. Then came the next domino. Clients started dropping. Word had gotten around that Dean's company was under audit. And let's just say construction clients in Columbus don't like working with people who attract government attention. Within 2 months, he lost 3 major accounts. Then the credit cards were frozen. His shell company bank account got flagged. Payroll was delayed. And Karen ghosted him. Apparently, she had her own reputation to protect, and Dean wasn't worth burning her legal career over. Meanwhile, I was rebuilt, moved into a quiet rental across town. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. The lease had only my name on it, and the furniture was stuff I picked out. No compromise, no fake rustic wood, because Dean likes that style. The twins, Max and Ella, adjusted faster than I expected. They were 11, old enough to understand that something was off, but young enough to bounce back with the right love and support. At first, Dean tried to play fun weekend dad, trips to the zoo, ice cream, cheap bribery, but the kids weren't dumb. They noticed how he canceled last minute, how he looked distracted even when he was physically present, how he yelled more, joked less, and eventually, they just stopped asking to go. Parenting with a narcissist or not. Dean wanted joint custody at first. Then he realized that meant responsibilities. After 2 no-shows at school meetings and 1 forgotten dentist appointment, even he knew it wasn't working. We went back to court. I didn't even have to say much. The judge took 1 look at his missed visit log and declared me primary custodian. He didn't argue. I think by that point, he was too busy trying to keep the IRS out of his personal accounts and begging Karen to take him back. Spoiler alert, she didn't. People talk Columbus isn't a small town, but the construction industry is tight. Eventually, word got around, not about the affair, that part was old news, but about how he tried to screw me over, and I turned the tables. Other wives messaged me. Some had gone through similar things. Some just wanted to say, good for you. And the cherry on top, a year later, a woman named Tina, whose husband had once hired Dean's crew, asked for a coffee meeting. She worked in HR for a real estate firm and they needed someone to manage contractor payroll and budgets. She offered me the job right on the spot. We need someone sharp. Someone who knows how to spot red flags. someone who doesn't get pushed around. I smiled so hard it hurt. Who I became, people love to talk about moving on, like it happens overnight. Like you wake up, cut your hair, buy new shoes, and voila, you're healed. It's not like that. It took months of therapy. It took mornings where I didn't want to get out of bed. It took crying in the shower so the kids wouldn't hear. But somewhere along the way, I stopped waiting for Dean to apologize. I stopped replaying the kitchen scene. The moment he announced the divorce like he was offering me a business deal, stopped feeling small. And I started feeling proud. Proud that I didn't scream. Proud that I didn't lose control. Proud that I outsmarted the man who thought I was too weak to stand alone. Because in the end, I didn't just survive, I thrived. And Dean, last I heard, he sold what was left of the business to cover legal fees. He moved into a rental in a not part of town, the kind of place where your neighbors argue on the lawn and the plumbing always smells like mildew. He reached out to the kids a few times. They didn't respond. He emailed me once, on my birthday, "Hope you're doing well." I didn't reply, not out of pettiness, but because I was doing great and he didn't deserve to know that the real revenge people think revenge is loud, that it's shouting, slashing tires, public takedowns, but the best kind. It's quiet, it's living better, it's knowing you never had to stoop to their level, it's walking away with your head high while they watch everything fall apart behind you. I need an apology from Dean. He gave me the best gift he could have without even realizing. It's freedom. And I used it to build a life so solid, not even a man like him could shake it. Asterisk. They say rock bottom teaches you lessons that mountaintops never will. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad. Dean left me. Not because the pain was easy, not because the betrayal didn't sting, but because that moment, the moment he stood in our kitchen and casually tossed me aside, was the moment I woke up. For years, I'd been existing, not living. I was Dean's wife, the kids' mom, the one who keeps the house running. I was useful, convenient, quiet, but not seen, not really. The real me had been sleeping. I look back now and realize how much I shrank myself to make Dean feel bigger. I deferred to him on everything: money, business, decisions, even what movie to watch on Friday nights. Not because I didn't have opinions, but because I thought it kept the peace. But peace that costs your voice isn't peace. It's silent suffering. So when I started rebuilding, I didn't just redecorate my house. I rebuilt me. I took a solo weekend trip to Asheville just because I'd always wanted to see the mountains. I signed up for pottery classes even though I was terrible at it. I started wearing red lipstick again. I didn't do any of it for a man. I did it because I wanted to remember what it felt like to take up space. The kids were my anchor. Max and Ella are my heart. At first, I worried the divorce would break something in them. But kids are resilient in ways adults forget. One night, few months after the split, Max crawled into my bed and said, "I like this house better. You smile more here." It nearly broke me. Not from sadness, but from relief, because in all my fear about raising them alone, I forgot something crucial. They weren't losing a home. They were gaining a happier mother. We cooked together now. Fridays, our movie and pancake night on the couch. They know they can ask me anything and that I'll always answer honestly, even if the answer is, "I don't know yet, but I'm figuring it out." One unexpected conversation about a year after everything settled. I ran into Karen at a grocery store. She didn't see me at first. She was in yoga pants and clearly avoiding eye contact with the world. I could have walked the other way. I could have thrown shade, made a scene, humiliated her, but I didn't. I walked right past her, basket in hand, head high. And when she finally looked up, our eyes met. She flinched. I didn't, because you know what power feels like. It feels like not needing revenge anymore. It feels like walking away stronger, sharper, freer. And Dean, still Dean, he tried dating again. The kids told me about a woman named Rachel he brought around for a few weeks. She didn't last long. Apparently, Dean still thinks women exist to support him, not stand beside him. Good luck with that. The last time we spoke briefly, at a school event, he looked tired, smaller, like the world had started folding in on him. He said, "You look good, you seem happy." I smiled. I am. And I meant it. Dear women who are where I was, if you're reading this, if you're watching from your phone late at night while your partner sleeps beside you, and you're wondering if you're crazy, if you're really being mistreated, if you're worth more than how he treats you, say it clearly. You are not crazy. You are not overreacting, and you deserve more than scraps. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to be angry and soft and powerful and scared all at once. You are allowed to outgrow the life you settled for. And if you ever find yourself staring at divorce papers across a long wooden table, just remember, you don't have to fall apart to rebuild. You can take your time. You can gather your proof. You can move with strategy, not desperation. And when the dust settles, you can rise higher than they ever thought you could. The ending I never expected. People think the end of a marriage is a failure, but sometimes it's the first real success you've had in years. I didn't lose a husband, I lost dead weight. I didn't lose a home, I gained peace. I didn't lose love, I found myself, and I would go through every painful moment again if it meant ending up here, in my own home, with my own joy, waking up every day knowing he left me thinking I'd break, and all I did was build something better.